This is Susan Debrock, Telluride Inside and Out, and I'm speaking with Dr. Susanna Hoffman. She is sometimes an anthropologist and sometimes a cookbook author. Always a lot of fun, and she's leading a special segment of Books and Cooks this coming Tuesday, August 2nd, starting at noon at the Wilkinson Public Library. So, Susanna, thanks for joining me.
Oh, you're very welcome.
So, how did you wind up with a dual specialty in disasters and food? It does seem incongruous.
Well, let's go back to basics. I am an anthropologist and have been in love with anthropology since, well, I've been in love with food from the beginning, but anthropology from my teen age, and I went ahead and became an anthropologist. The specialty in food comes from two ways. One is that as an anthropologist living in a little tiny scrappy village somewhere, much of your daily activity when you're talking to people has to do with getting food, preparing food, consuming food, because that's what people need to do and do all day long. So I was already interested in food, already an active anthropologist. The disaster part came later, and that is because my home burned down in one of America's big catastrophes, the Oakland-Berkeley firestorm, and I realized that it was as close to a natural laboratory as an anthropologist ever gets, watching people reinvent their social relationships and the things that they were interested in, even their rites and rituals, and that's how that came. And actually, in all honesty, the two fields are coming together because I've now been asked to do a book on the global food crisis, so disaster and food.
Okay, and now Greece. How did you land in Greece in the first place, and what keeps drawing you back?
Well, I landed in Greece in the first place because I was bound and determined to show that a study on a people that had a long literate tradition could show the same kinds of things as an isolated people, such as in New Guinea or in the Brazilian jungle or in something like that. So I had three choices. My choices were for a long literate tradition, India, China, or Europe. And for a number of reasons, I decided to go to Europe. One, I was a woman alone, and two, I'd always been so fascinated with the Greek and Roman Empire that I even played Greek and Romans with my dolls when I was a kid. So I thought, well, the real font of that, and the older one is Greece, I'll go to that. And then I ended up trying to find an island that I thought had the most craziness going on in symbolism, and that's where I went.
Okay. Now, drilling down to the event on Tuesday, how did you just come up with the menu for this special edition of Books and Cooks?
Well, let me finish. Actually, I didn't quite finish the last one. Let me say another couple things. One is
Go for it. Sorry to have interrupted you.
Oh, that's okay. I keep going back because I've lived there so long, and it's such a wonderful, which was a completely scruffy village to start with, no electricity, no water, practically no road. It was just a pile of dust. I have got children and a whole family, and I belong to them, and they belong to me. And all the other parts of Greece have been equally welcoming and embracing, and so I go back every year, at least once a year. Now, the Cooks and Books menu has to do with all of that background and the fact that I've written a great big book on Greek food and the history of Greek food and the Mediterranean diet, which is called The Olive and the Caper.
Right.
I trimmed this menu to not only show Greek ingredients and uses for ingredients that people don't even think of, but stuff that would work at this altitude and for this town. The menu starts with an ingredient that people always think of only one way, and that is grape leaves. And they think of them as being wrapped around rice and as dolmas, but in fact grape leaves are a wonderful thing that you can do many things with. You can make dips with cheese and cream cheese, as I'm doing for Books and Cooks. You can wrap fish in them for grilling, which is wonderful on your trout. You can roast chickens with saffron, say, and yogurt and grape leaves. You can wrap quail in them. They're an absolutely wonderful ingredient that add a tang to many, many different kinds of dishes. So I wanted to start with that. And then the next piece is the mushroom retsina pie, and that's in honor of the fact that it's just about mushroom season we're all going to be picking chanterelles and boletes and other kinds of mushrooms. And one of the most amazing things to do with them is to make a phyllo pie. Everybody thinks of phyllo pies as just cheese or spinach, but there's almost anything you can put in them. Fennel and dandelion and leeks and potato. And a mushroom one is really from the mountain area of Greece. And in keeping with that, I add Retsina wine, which, for those of you who know, is a wine that's been flavored with pine resin. It goes back to ancient times in Greece. And it brings out the whole idea of a pine forest, a mountain forest, to go with it. And some wild thyme. Of course, in Greece, you can just walk out the door and pick herbs, so that's what's the added. The third thing, again, for Telluride, is to show that there are a different kind of way to do cakes, and that is a yogurt cake, and it's going to be doused in a lemon and ouzo syrup. Now, here we have trouble getting pastries, cakes to rise. These cakes from Greece are very low rising. They only get 1.5 inches, 2 inches high, and the way you sweeten them is to soak them after baking in a syrup. So you can do semolina, you can do walnut, you can do sesame cakes and not have to worry about how high they get, and then do all kinds of wonderful things like coffee syrup or honey syrup, or in this case use a wonderful Greek aperitif ouzo and lemon, which is a major Greek ingredient, and soak the food in it. So it's kind of Greek and kind of Telluride, the whole menu.
Perfect. And do I need to bring anything special to this event?
Enthusiasm,
okay.
Which should not be curbed.
Okay. I think that's
fully there, and maybe a bit of an appetite, and just, especially all your senses for the sense of smell and just the beauty, the visual of it. That's all.
So uncurbed enthusiasm. Sounds like an HBO, a sequel to an HBO series. Anyway, now, so that's clear about that event on Tuesday. But I understand from Program Director Scott Dosher that you will be doing a series this winter. Could you talk about what that series will be at the library, starting whenever he finally schedules it officially, but we know it's going to be sometime this winter?
Well, it's going to be a celebration of American cuisine. And the truth of the matter is that for many, many years, America has been poo-pooed internationally as having no cuisine of its own. And I do not agree with that. I think that we do have a cuisine, and the cuisine is a celebration, a cohesion of all the different ethnic groups that came here. It used to be thought that, we don't have a cuisine, we just eat Italian, we just eat Chinese. Mm-hmm. Well, the truth is, we are Italians, we are Chinese, and all of that food is now featured on our plates. So this is step by step and segment by segment, a celebration of all of these streams, ethnic streams, that are now part of what we eat. We might start out with a Thai appetizer and then have a Italian pasta and then have a French dessert, and in the meantime have some kind of salad that maybe comes down from English tradition, or even, who knows, end up with a trifle. All of this is now us. We eat it all. We eat as it really is, the whole enchilada. And so this series will celebrate that. We'll celebrate everything from the Swedish meatball to Native American corn dishes, the whole thing.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for that overview of both Tuesday's event and a teaser on the upcoming series. This has been Susan Deeprock, Telluride Inside and Out, speaking with Dr. Susanna Hoffman, and she is going to be at the Wilkinson Public Library on Tuesday, August 2nd, starting at noon, for what is going to be a feast, a Greek feast. It's a special edition of Chef Bud's Books and Cooks. Susanna, thanks once again.
Thank you.